Then when Jesus comes up and calls them, they drop everything they're doing and they follow him. What made them do that? What motivated them to leave everything? And when you were talking about James and John, they literally left their father, walked away and left everything they had, not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring, not knowing where they're going to get their next meal, not knowing how this is going to play out, not knowing anything, but at a moment's notice, dropped everything they were doing. In my heart and mind, they were waiting for this day to occur, because they were taught since they were a small child that the Messiah was coming, the Lord was coming, the teacher was coming. And when that happened, it had to be great excitement. They had an opportunity to go follow Christ and leave everything they had to do that. So as I studied a little bit more, this is not the first time that people's done this for the Lord. In Genesis chapter 21, verse 1, the Lord had said to Abraham, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to a land I will show you." Abraham did it. Abraham was in his life doing everything he had, and the Lord called out to him and says, "Leave." He didn't know exactly where he was going and know where he was going, but he was told to leave and follow me. In the Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8, it brings this very same subject back up. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go to a place where later he would receive his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. What a testimony that is about Abraham. He just obeyed and went, and didn't question it, didn't think twice about it, didn't make excuses saying, "Hey, Lord, let me get this done first. Well, let me take care of my fields, and then I'll come. Or let me go take care of this, and then I'll do what I need to do. But let me get my stuff in order before I follow you, Father." So often I think we find ourselves in the same boat. We get called on things, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. We like Moses sometimes, and we want to be, and say, "Lord, I don't have the ability to speak," because the good Lord will give you what you need to speak. So when you have somebody, I really don't want to approach them, and you hear that voice in the back of your head and in your ear saying, "No, I really don't feel comfortable talking about that type of stuff." You need to have the strength and the faith like Abraham had, like the apostles had. You need to pretty much, "Here am I, Lord, send me." Because that's the thought I had a few weeks ago. How am I supposed to say no? Was I nervous? Yeah, I was afraid this was going to be the worst sermon I ever gave in my life, because I wasn't prepared. Yes, but in Isaiah, this is where I get this from, Isaiah 6, verse 8. I pull on this a lot because I like to talk, but saying I'm not nervous up here would be a lie. Saying that I don't struggle would be a lie. Because let me give you a little bit of background on me, and you'll get some stories about me. Aunt Joanne knows all about them. So you'll get little stories about me as a growing up. When I grew up in school, I failed kindergarten because I'm dyslexic. So I struggle when it comes to reading. I struggle when it comes to learning. I struggle when it comes to that. So when I get in front of a big audience like this, I know I'm going to stumble. I know I'm going to make mistakes. So I could easily say, no, this is I can't do it. One thing that you usually don't see me do, and if I'm really put on the spot, I'll do it because the Lord will put me in that position, is I don't read scriptures on the spot. And so you'll hardly ever see me up there reading scriptures because I got to read through it to know what it says, because when my dyslexia kicks in is when I'm reading and not seeing it for the first time, it switches things around. So I struggle really hard when I'm being put on the spot to read. But if I have a chance to read it and go over it a few times, I know what it says, I know what it's supposed to say, so that's why I'm able to preach and teach, because I've read my material. But my dyslexia likes to interfere with me all the time. So I can't have that mindset saying, Lord, I can't speak, or Lord, I can't do this. If he calls me, I have to answer. Throughout the week, we have opportunities, and this is what I talk about all the time. We have opportunities in our daily lives that the Lord sits there and speaks at us. Somebody in need, or you have an opportunity to talk about Christ. Those opportunities, I'm telling you, are coming up daily, are coming up weekly, and let us not miss those opportunities. I love the story about Samuel when he was a young man, and a lot of y'all know this story. In 1 Samuel 3, 8, and 9 tells us this. I'll give you the backstory. Samuel went to bed. He was asleep in his bed, and he heard somebody called him. So he goes to his master, runs in his room, and he says, Master, what do you need? He says, I didn't call you. Goes back to bed, and here's as clear as day, somebody calling him. He runs back in the room. Master, what do you need? I didn't call you. Go back to bed. So this is what it says in Samuel 3, 8 through 9. A third time the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, Here I am, you called me. And I can imagine this being, for the third time, I know you called me. And he's going to that he had a room. So he told Sam, he said, Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. So Eli told Samuel, go lie down, and if he calls you, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and laid down in his place. The Lord came and stood there. That just impresses me, that little part. He came and stood there and called as the other time, Samuel, Samuel. Samuel said, Speak, for your servant is listening. That note, that realize that those opportunities, and I strongly believe with my heart, we have those opportunities all the time where the Lord is calling out to us and we're not listening. And we need to be attentive to our everyday life, the purpose, the reasons that we are here. We are here for a purpose, and that's to serve the Lord. If you're a Christian, your whole life changes. You're being made anew. That newness is that you're become a servant of the Lord. And that when he calls you, we need to answer. But it's so easy, I think, for us to get tied up in our everyday life. We get up, we have our breakfast. We have kids, we get them off to school. If we don't have kids, we get ready for work and go to work. And then we get to work, we have our routine when we get to work. When I get to work, every morning when I get to work, I go set my stuff on my desk. I go into the break room and fix my bagel or my drink because I just took medicine, and then I go back and I usually have on a whiteboard or to the actual blue board of stuff that I need to get accomplished. So I try to get through that list so I don't get behind, and then around lunchtime I may stop for a little bit and do some studying and stuff like that, or may have to run an errand, or my day may get interrupted, I may have to run on a call. But I do that same thing every day. And you imagine your day, what you go through every day, your routine, whatever it may be. Where does the Lord fit in that? Because I'm not here to make money for myself or my family, to be honest with you. If I truly trust the Lord, he's going to take care of all that. What opportunities do I have at work to talk to somebody about the Lord? What other opportunities do I have at work to help an employee or employer or anybody that I'm associated, a customer that has a need? Am I going that extra mile to do something? They say, hey, there's something different there. Walking, going to Food Lion. How many times have we seen somebody struggle trying to find a credit card that works to make a difference? To say, hey, I got that. But you know what Satan tells us? He did it in the garden. We'll talk about it probably a little bit more in a minute. He did it in the garden. He said, did the Lord really say that? Do you not eat of that fruit? And sometimes we wonder, now they put themselves in that position and we don't see the opportunity the Lord puts in front of us. Yes?
The bottom line, as I see, as I'm listening to you, the bottom line for all of us, and I'm speaking to me too, is what's important to you, things of this life or the next life.
Exactly.
And I believe that it begins at the age of accountability in God's eyes. It could be 10 years old for somebody, it could be 20 years old. But from the moment that God knows that you are accountable for your actions, for that human being, like for me, when I was younger, I got baptized, but I got baptized for the wrong reason. And God knew it. And I wasn't ready to give my life to Christ. So that later on in life, then I got rebaptized for the right reason. But I believe the bottom line, I mean, you can push and shove this, or say this, say that. It's what's important to you, either things in this life or the next life. And that's just the bottom line. I mean, you can sugarcoat anything you want, but that's just the way it is. It's what's important to you in this, in life.
And good point. We all have things that are important for us, and if it's important to us, it shines. Because when I built my house in Matoka, I'm a firefighter, and you walk through my house there. It ain't that way now. I think it's more about the grandkids now. But you walk through my house back then, when I first started as a firefighter and was all excited about being a firefighter, there was firefighter memorabilia all over my house. You walked into my house and didn't realize it was a firefighter. There was something wrong because you couldn't see nothing. You weren't paying attention. Stuff was going over your head. You couldn't miss what I did as my career. It was firefighting. So when we have that passion that you talk about, it changes our perspective. And I'm telling you, if you truly, if it's important to you, people will know about it. Football season coming up, most of us will know what team you're a part of at some point in your life, because you'll have a big old jersey you're wearing it for. If it's the Commanders or if it's Dallas, I don't know what's wrong with you, but if it's Dallas, people will know what team you're rooting for. Or if it's baseball, the Braves, they'll know because the memorabilia, the stickers on their cars, the shirts that they wear for sports, and that's just a game. Do people realize and know who you are? Can they see it in the way you walk and you talk? Does it stick out? Because if you're passionate about something, it's going to stick out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you also got to understand and realize, and Scripture tells us throughout, this is a growing process. Because I'm telling you, from growing up in the church, and I'm highly, highly blessed, because there's a period in my life that I was not a part of the church. But what brought me back to church is what I was taught prior to that. The leaderships that I had here, the people that I had here that encouraged me, even when I was away from the church. I had a member of the church that would call me every Sunday when Ed Shield started up, every Saturday night. Some nights I was there, some nights I wasn't there. He'd call my house and say, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm thinking about you. And my wife would pick up when I was pulling my 24-hour shifts. And she would get on me and say, he calling every Saturday night. I think you might need to go back to church. And there's that subtle voice and that subtle things where he brought me back. But I'm highly blessed knowing this, because as I've grown, I've realized more and more that there's only one person I can rely on. It's not me. Because I've looked back at my life, and y'all have heard me say it before when you meet me sometimes coming here in the church, I'm highly blessed and highly favored despite myself, because I keep getting in my way. But I realize that truly the one thing that I have to rely on is God. And you don't get that at the beginning, because you have to go through those trials and tribulations in your life and see that God keeps picking you up and getting you back on the track when you have faith in it. Then your faith it will grow. And how does your faith grow? You got to study. You got to listen to what God's saying. That's what we're getting ready to talk about in the weeks to come in the Sermon on the Mountain. You got to focus on it. You just don't read over it. You got to focus and start studying on it. But we have to study to build that faith. Because I'll be honest with you, I can look back at my last 60 years, and I've been highly blessed and highly favored my entire life. From the point I was born until this very day, the Lord has looked out for me. I've never gone hungry. I might have wanted to eat. Well, there's a lot of times still like to eat. I've always had a roof over my head. He's always taken care of every trials and struggles I ever went to. And as a Christian, if you focus your faith on Him, everything will work out. And I've heard people preach, well, you know, it rains on the just and unjust. We talked about that last week. The storms are coming. So people say, well, we may get our victory at the end. Me personally, just what He's done for me, I don't see that. Once I put my faith on Him and trust Him, it always works out. No matter what the struggles I've gone through, no matter what difficulties, and I've been through a lot of difficulties, it's always worked out. He promised us that He will take care of us today. So we need to realize and understand that. Look, that's the first bell and me talking, and I'm probably halfway through lesson 2. Yes.
Say something to the person, and sometimes you do, and other times you don't. And then you leave and you say, why didn't I say so and so? That was the time I should have said so and so. And so sometimes we obey, and other times we beat ourselves up because of that.
Yeah, we all fall short. And we can't let Satan tell us that that's a stopping point, because we're all going to fall short. We need to get up on our feet and try not to let that happen again. So, yeah, that's a good point. I can tell you from experience, those very moments you just talked about, I walked away and realized saying, I missed that opportunity. I missed that chance to stand up for the Lord. There's a gentleman when I started at Prince George about 4 years ago, he cleans the building. And I get there early because I was in the federal system. Work is not till 8:30, but I get there at 6:30. Why? It's because I think I get more work done at between 6:30 and 8:30. But I got to meet this gentleman, and he encouraged me every day because he profoundly, happily talks about what the Lord's done for him. He doesn't hold back. He don't care who's listening. He says he talks about how blessed he is. He talks about how we were one day closer. And I go, this was the job the Lord picked for me because I needed that. Every morning we talk, just the two of us, about how the week went, opportunities and stuff like that. I know he's a Christian from day one. And that mentality is, I should be able to come into my new job and everybody know from day one that I'm a Christian. That's the way it should work. Not saying that's the way it happened, but that's the way it should work. Everybody should know whose teams you're on, what you stand for, and what you're against. Because you shouldn't hold anything back. Mm-hmm. And at least the questions, they try to poke you. Why do you do this? Or why do you do that? Why do you act that way? And so sometimes you got to say, look, I'm human. I make mistakes. And sometimes you're standing up and saying, this is why I do what I do at meals. Or this is why I do what I do. Because I truly am blessed on that. You know, and go ahead.
Joseph, not divorcing Mary going on. But we look at everybody else, but these other men and women did things that we can look at.
Mm-hmm.
They were part of the story too, and their lives were important as well. They were there for a reason as well. So we can take lessons from them as well. Sometimes we want to be an apostle, but we're not called to be an apostle. We're called to live our lives as disciples. These other people, peripheral. They were doing it.
And the thing is, they're all part of that plan. And so we can all learn from it because that's all a part of God's plan. And the thing that we need to realize and understand, and the bell hasn't rung yet because that missed me last time. Let me know if it does. That we're a part of God's plan. If we allow God to use us that way, we're a part of the overall, the big picture, the big plan, the judgment day coming. We're all a part of that where we're making difference in people's lives when we do what we're supposed to do as Christians. Yep, see, I heard it that time. Any other comments? We're almost through lessons 2, and I told you last week that some lessons may get through them, some of them I may get to 1 or 2 of them. Some of them may take me a couple weeks to get through it. So we'll get to the Sermon on the Mountain, I promise you. So thank you for your time. And remember, there's some more books back there. If you study them, let it carry you where it carries you. Bring it back and share it to the class and let us all get something from it. So I thank you for your time this morning.